Right, hey guys, how are we doing? So, we're back at another Nogataku video. We watched the how to introduce an OP character with Escanor, 7 Deadly Sins. And we're going to continue with these Escanor videos with how to I was nearly doing really well with the intro there. How to overpower an overpowered character. Escanor versus Estarossa. Now, my god, what a fight this was. This was insane. Because Escanor was all like, yo, I'm totally OP. And then it's like, Estarossa's like, yo, I'm totally OP. And then they both fight each other. It's like, wow, this fight's totally OP. It's like, cool. So, there's my analysis on it. So I'll see you guys later. Now, let's get into this. This is, let's see what Nogataku's got to say on the matter.
The 7 Deadly Sins is an anime particularly memorable for its fights.
Yes,
and to be more
so
particular, 7 Deadly Sins does the one-sided slaughter-type battles brilliantly to the point where, in most anime, I'm hoping for an equal battle, where we don't know who's going to claim victory, as the advantages and disadvantages rock back
kill
and
this
forth
person
on either side. But in the 7 Deadly Sins, my mentality is entirely different. I'm hoping to watch the bad guys get totally annihilated, and that's even if I don't have invested interest in the fight. In this specific scenario, Estarossa spoilered the hell out of Meliodas, so there was invested interest in the fight. When Meliodas was up against him 2 episodes earlier, Estarossa negated Meliodas' ultimate attack with ease. And before this titanic clash begins, we actually understand why. It's because of the power of love. Yeah, pretty manly, I know. As one of the 10 commandments, the additional power placed upon Estarossa was the quirk, love for all. Anyone in the vicinity
Love it.
harbors any hatred is rendered completely powerless. This is an ability basically never seen before in the history of any media.
My God.
Because of how ridiculously overpowered it truly is. Estarossa himself, as always, seemingly complacent in the middle of a battle, and that's because, were he to hate anyone, he would be affected by his command as well.
Yes, that makes
so when
sense.
he defeated Meliodas 2 episodes prior, it was not out of hatred, but
It was
out of
out of
some
love.
perverted sense of love.
Weird.
And this is not only clear from his facial expression when he was fighting Meliodas, but it's obvious from the straight-out narrative that, if he would hate Meliodas, he would have been completely ineffective. Defeating Meliodas in front of the other sins also serves a massive purpose because the more the sins hate him, the more powerless they become. Nanatsu no Taizai is one of my favorite shonen anime to come out as of late, and it goes without saying, in the department of character interactions and epic feeling beatdowns, it's practically unmatched under the grand, broad roof of shonen.
Yeah,
and that
pretty
in
up
itself is enough of a reason for most people to enjoy the series, despite the plot inconsistencies and power
There are a
scaling
few inconsistencies, but
that's basically all over the place. To put in different words, if you want a more cerebral recent shonen, I'd suggest Hero Academia. But if you want to be constantly hyped by everything that's going on screen at any distinct moment in time, I suggest the 7 Deadly Sins. I am not, by the way, just rambling now. This is semi-important to the coming points I'm going to make as far as my Art of a Fight Scene video on Estarossa versus Escanor. And I'm also working on an Art of a Fight Scene video on All for One versus All Might.
Cool.
But as far as the 7 Deadly Sins goes, if you want to sit back and enjoy, you will. If you want to constantly make sure everything makes sense as the plot goes through, well, this anime may not be
it's really
for
not.
you. And honestly, this is enough to hold most people back from delving deeper into the show. I mention this because on a level deeper than the basic plot, on a philosophical level, there is a lot to the 7 Deadly Sins that a lot of people don't really see. And since a lot of people on YouTube don't really talk about it, I kinda wound up analyzing half the 2nd season in various videos talking about fight scenes or tournament arcs. Feel free to subscribe and check those out.
Do it. This channel's amazing.
Because Escanor versus Estarossa on a superficial level is one of the most hype, badass, greatest battles in all anime.
You just know something decent's gonna happen.
And on a philosophical level, well, it's maybe even better than the potato chip of Death Note and the ass handles and Darling in the Franxx.
No, nothing beats the ass handles and Darling in the Franxx. How dare you?
Video on them and their philosophy. Yeah, I'm weird, but this is a great fight on a deep level as well.
Darling in the Franxx, one of the best animes that's ever existed. How dare you?
Himself, due to the hatred emanating from every other character, they are all powerless to face him, except for the one that stands above all others. The one that stands above all other clans. The Lion Sin of Pride, Overpowered, with his quirk Sun for All.
Sun for All.
Merch link in the description.
Love it.
By the way, just throwing that out there, wiki emoji. And because of Escanor's unfathomable pride, he feels no hatred towards those beneath him, he merely pities them. And he's by default the only one that can stand up against Estarossa. One of the reasons why I superficially love this fight is because it continues to leave Escanor blemishless. And this is what I mean. Including this fight, Escanor has thus far partaken in 4 battles. And each one only served the purpose to continue making us love and adore the prideful bastard a little bit more. His fight against Galand introduced us to his ultimate badass.
Incredible.
His fight against Melascula introduced us to his lack of weakness and unfaltering pride. His fight against Gother and subsequent sneak attack against the 2 commandments simultaneously introduced us to his personality and his supreme power even in the dead of night, his weak spot. And this latest battle against Estarossa kept pushing the ceiling higher and introduced us to his philosophy. And the reason why this fight was incredible, as it truly was, in part goes as thanks to Estarossa's basic combat abilities, as well as the 3 distinct fashions that make Estarossa ridiculously overpowered in any other setting than he happened to find himself in. Firstly, the commandment of love. Not only does it create a powerful mentality for Estarossa himself, being in a position where he truly doesn't hate anyone, despite attempting their annihilation, but it also helps us understand the depth of Escanor's pride. Secondly, his famous magic attack being a physical full counter, an automatic reflection of any physical attack that comes his way onto the attacker, and his third ability being a standard demon dark magic with a blackness so powerful it can literally block out the sun, the source of Escanor's power. To understand the superficial situation, let's try to explain what this situation would look like in a setting of, let's say, Yu-Gi-Oh!
Okay.
You fool! My field spell causes all opponents that even fears me slightly to automatically lose. So you're the only opponent that can actually even face me. But little do you know, my first trap card reflects all physical attacks upon you. And my dark magic negates all sun magic, which is the only magical abilities at your disposal. So with no hatred, no physical or magic attacks, prepare for destruction at the hands of my ultimate nefarious strategy. There's nowhere left for you to even turn. Okay, it was all good until the laugh. Pretty nefarious. The idea here is Estarossa can't have that mindset of blind fury himself, because he has to maintain this composure of love or his attacks in turn become meaningless. So it would not be amiss to say that I love this fight enough to say it's a seasonal highlight just purely due to the mentality of Estarossa having ultimate power as long as he can control his own mind.
Yeah.
This fight is not a seasonal
If he starts to hate anybody.
One of the best, most satisfying anime battles since Jotaro versus Dio. And that's thanks to Lord Escanor, the mightiest disciple of Lord Twigo-sama. And every time I'm about to talk about him, my mind goes blank due to sheer awesomeness.
Yes.
As I've mentioned, Escanor is still in the escalation stage of his development, and this fight, despite, let's say it was difficult, it was nowhere near his limits, where all the overpowered strengths of Estarossa do make the fight in itself more interesting, being that they're so broad. They serve the purpose to keep this fight awesome, despite not even slightly revealing the cap of Escanor's unfathomable power. All the damage Escanor takes during the fight that gives it the illusion of being a tough battle is all just reflected damage from Escanor's own attacks. But of course, Escanor states, "Of course this damage I took was taken by reflecting my own attack. It's not like anyone else's attacks could ever harm me." Not only does it feel amazing to watch him talk down Estarossa, not only is it the most enjoyable form of pretentiousness I've ever seen, but he's also right. Despite Estarossa having these 3 ridiculous abilities, which each alone is insanely overpowered, they hardly cause Escanor to even falter, as Overpowered takes his time but progressively decimates his opponent into oblivion. I'm working on a video talking about the overpowered weaklings, and the brilliance of writing a character like Escanor and All Might as extremely powerful characters, however only under certain conditions, whereas alternatively they're both borderline powerless in other conditions. And since I will be making that video, I will not be discussing that aspect of Escanor here.
That's fair enough.
Instead, I'm going to attempt to elucidate why I truly love this fight, past even the hype badass visual level. The premise of this battle is pretty straightforward. Estarossa is the commandment of love, and therefore anyone who contains hatred in their heart is powerless.
Yes.
But since Escanor is the embodiment of pride, he feels no hatred, only pity. And while I can't get over how badass that is, if you've been here,
so cool.
subscribed to my channel long enough, you know I look at the 7 Deadly Sins and One Punch Man, for example, slightly differently than the upbeat hype shows that they are on the surface level. So, let's get to the meat and potatoes as to why I feel that Escanor vs. Estarossa left its mark on history as a legendary anime battle. Both members of this squabble I find to be ideologically tremendously tragic characters. And it's since Escanor is clearly the better of the two characters, I will save him for discussion second.
Cool.
So starting with Estarossa, a man who fights with the power of love. No, I don't mean he uses the power of love to help him in his fights. I meant he fights against love. Being that this is his commandment, as I've mentioned, he can't feel hatred either. So when he, air quotes, kills Meliodas, there's a tremendous weight on his heart, because in truth, he loves Meliodas.
Yeah.
He does what he feels to be right, despite killing someone he truly loves. But that's only part of it. While it surely pains him to commit that act, and while I'm not here to bash his moral integrity, he does not seem to be moral to the extent of piousness as he attempts to butcher the entire human race, but he failed to incorporate his commandment into his philosophy, unlike Meliodas, who succeeded to do just that in his training arc that I talked about a week or two ago. Holy balls, I'm really decoding the philosophy of the whole damn series, aren't I? Well, no one else is. Moving on, Meliodas' training arc was one of my favorite training arcs of all time. I did a whole video.
It was good.
But to sum up the basic philosophy and how it contrasts with Estarossa's, wrath is a playout of hatred. And to solve their primal internal issues, they had a very similar solution originally, to kill all emotion, and thereby by default destroying their internal hatred or internal wrath. And this is where Estarossa still currently stands. Looking at the world through sad eyes, he lived a life where the only way to suppress and try to kill off hatred was by also killing off love. For someone like Estarossa, it's done very literally, being that if he feels hatred, it will destroy him. But many human beings, some that I'm sure many of us know personally, have sacrificed love for the sake of power. Whether power is shooting black laser beams, or it's money or position. And Estarossa's done that.
Just to make it realistic.
He's erased himself for his cause. And because of this, he was almost brought to hatred while fighting Escanor. The most satisfying, prideful putz ever. And that's because he hasn't been true to himself. He hasn't grown past hatred in any way, he's just suppressed it. Taking a painkiller does not cure the disease. I know, I've been sick for the past week. And that was exactly what Meliodas learned in his training arc. Throughout the entire series, Meliodas is a happy dude with majorly suppressed emotions. He's always calm and complacent because
as soon as he explodes, he explodes.
He will wipe out a country with this wrath.
My God.
So he went the suppression route just like Estarossa did. But as I've mentioned, that is a patch, not a cure. And that's, in very short, what the training arc tried to teach us. Meliodas relived Liz's death over and over, succumbing to his wrath every single time, and his resulting escaping emotions destroyed all his surroundings. No matter how many times he lived through this, he could never delete his wrath, and he only succeeded when he embraced his loss and internalized it. And I go way further in that video, but long story short, getting to the point that I'm trying to bring out here, Meliodas far surpassed Estarossa in this faction, and the broken Estarossa still has more to learn. Because as it stands, he's living a life not worth living. The only time he looked passionate and alive was during his fight with Escanor. Because while feeling hatred is a negative experience, granted, it's better than not feeling anything at all. It's being alive. And that's one side of the playing field. One who's hated but cannot reciprocate, therefore living a tormented life, where he developed an extent of emotion in a fight that changed him physically, being his defeat, and emotionally. Because Estarossa assumed his superiority due to his lack of emotion, but that is his ultimate undoing. And on the other side we have Escanor, one of my favorite anime characters of all time.
He's so cool.
Because he's superficially the epitome of badass, but internally, he's fascinating as well. And good news, fam, I'm making it a separate video because it got way too long and deep. The philosophy of Escanor.
Oh wow, yeah, we only have 30 seconds left of this video.
I'm super proud of. Hope you enjoy it when it's ready. This was my analysis on the fight. No time for an outro, too busy on the next video. Feel free to like and subscribe, and stay weird, fam.
Awesome. Cool. I don't know why I do that. It's funny. That was a cool video. Very, 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 very good. Look at the fight. Such a good fight. There's so much more going on in Seven Deadly Sins as well. Yeah, the whole love thing, cool, and Escanor being the only person to fight him because he just feels pity for him because he's like, I am the best. I love that. Of course, that hurt me. It was my attack. Why wouldn't it? And the little Yu-Gi-Oh thing was so funny. It sounded so much like Bakura. SJ's out. Stop being such a dick. That's my terrible attempt at a Bakura voice from Yu-Gi-Oh! The Abridged series. Anyway, enough of this. Thank you guys very much for watching. What did you guys think of that? What do you guys think of this? Click like, subscribe if you haven't already. Leave comments down below. Let me know what I should watch and discuss in future videos. And I'll see you guys. It's all of you guys next time. I nearly did the Yu-Gi-Oh! Guys thing then. But no. Right. Bye! Whoop.